Now that we have our data entered, let's use the autofill to drag the fill handle over to fill our values, our labels for our data. So fill the top row and then fill the first column of information as shown using the fill handle. Double click the column A border to auto fit the cell's contents and make it wide enough to show all of the labels. Now we're ready to start doing some mathematical calculations. We're going to learn 4 new functions: the sum function, the average function, the max and min function. And these are found on the Home tab, and in the editing group over there you see the button. We're going to click in the cell right below our first column of values, and we're going to use the sum function to sum up all the values that are there. To use the sum function, we're going to go over to the auto sum button, and we're going to click sum, and notice that the range is automatically selected for you, so you can just press enter. Next, we're going to find the average, so go to the auto sum button again, drop down arrow, and click on average. And again, notice the range is automatically selected, but it selects also the average, so we need to reselect the range to only include the student values. And then we can press enter, and it will automatically average those values. Now let's find the highest. We're going to find the maximum using the max function. Again, we need to select our range, close the parentheses and press enter. And now let's do the same thing, auto sum button, but let's find the lowest value, or the min function. Select our range and press enter. And we have now found very quickly the total, the average, the highest and lowest values in our range. Now, we can also do formulas by typing them in. Type in equal, sum, and then double click on sum, and then drag to find your range. Notice it puts the parentheses in for you. Next, type in equals, average, or AV, and then you can find it in the list. Double click on it in the list, select your range, press enter. Then, now it's time to find the highest, which is the max function. So equals, MAX, double click on it in the list, select your range, press enter. And now for the min, equals, MIN, double click on it in the list, select your range, and press enter when you've selected your range. Now let's copy these functions over. We can copy them one at a time, drag the fill handle over, but we can actually copy all of them at once, select them, and then drag the fill handle over, and our cell references for each one will automatically adjust to find those for each new column. Now let's create 2 new columns. Name them as shown. Pause the video if necessary. Select those 2 labels, and let's choose to wrap text within those columns or within those cells. And now we are going to use the sum function to find the total points earned per student. We're going to copy the function down, click the autofill handle, and drag down. Now let's find the average function for each student. Average. And we have to select our range this time. With the sum, it was automatically selected, but with the average, we have to select the range, and then we can autofill down. Pause and rewind the video if you need to see how that was done again. In this next lesson, we're going to figure markup and markdown. And the reason we need to figure these is many times you go to the store and you are shopping and you may see a discount, a 25% discount sale, or maybe you own a business and you need to mark up to meet a certain profit or goal for your business. And many times you need to determine the profitability of a product by determining the percent of the markup um, that you're getting. If it's not meeting your goals, then maybe it's a product that you don't need to carry because you may not be making a true profit on it. So we're going to look at how to do that. On your worksheet, if you're not already there, we just finished up the functions worksheet. Let's go to the markup markdown worksheet. Click on the markup markdown sheet tab, and we're going to learn how to enter formulas. Now, in the last lesson, we entered functions, which are pre-made formulas. They're kind of like formula templates. But we're going to learn how to create a formula in Excel the long way. There are many mathematical operations we need to do that there aren't ready-made functions for. And one of those being a percent of markup or markdown. So, in our markup markdown worksheet, let's click in cell C4. And notice I have merged cells C and D for these three items. And I just did it to make it a little more attractive so that this column didn't have to be wide all the way down. And I still had room for my label up here. We have our values over here. We've got prices, the original price and the adjusted price. So say we have a price that we pay $50 for, and we can sell it to our customers for $55. We need to know what the percent of markup is on that so we can determine the profitability of that product. To enter a formula, we always begin a formula with the equal sign. Equal sign. And the markup formula takes the adjusted price minus the original price, and we have to put that in parentheses because that's something we need to happen first. So we have to put that in parentheses. So it's equals parentheses, the adjusted price minus the original price, and then we divide that, the divide symbol, and this is a slash beside the shift key. We divide that by the original price. And we press enter when we are finished entering our formula. Now, we need to format this to be a percent. So, on the Home tab, in the number group, let's click the percent button. And we have that as a percent. Now let's enter that formula again. Equals, open parenthesis, the adjusted price minus the original price, close parentheses, the divide symbol, and divided by the original price, and hit enter. Now this time we have a negative percent, which in that case it's a mark down. We've marked it down 33% from the original price. Let's format this to be a percent as well. So that is negative 33%. Let's practice this formula one more time. A percent of markup or a percent of markdown, equal sign, open parentheses, the adjusted price minus the original price, close parentheses, divided by original price. And notice I am clicking on the cell references to put those in. You can also type in the cells. It's just easier to click on the cell reference and press enter and make it a percent. So the most profitable item, of course, is our third item here. The least profitable, of course, is the one that we took a loss on. So that is how we figure out a percent of markup or markdown. Now, in this next section, let's go ahead and format these sections so we can differentiate them a little better. This section heading, click up here in cell A2, hold down Control, click in A8, hold down Control, and click in A17. And let's apply a kind of orange accent 6, lighter 60% there, that fill color. And so in this next section here, we are going to figure a price after a discount. Now, you will need to remember how to do these formulas. So in your notes or in your notebooks, write these formulas down. The situation here would be like you go into a store and you're wanting to buy a jacket. And the jacket originally cost $50. And you see a sign that says that there is a 25% discount. Well, how much are you going to pay for that jacket at the sale price? Let's start our formula. Remember, all formulas begin with an equal sign. Okay, so we're going to take our original price, cell B9. So let's start our formula. 3, 2, 1. Let's start our formula with the equal sign. And we're going to take the original price, so click on cell B9. And then we're going to subtract out the original price times the discount to find the discount amount. So we need parentheses, open parentheses, the original price times the discount, close parentheses, and press enter. $37.50 is what we will pay for that jacket at a 25% discount. Now let's figure a 35% discount. We'll do equals, and again B9, minus, open parentheses, the original price times the discount. Now the original price times the discount gives you the amount of the discount. So in parentheses, that will give you the amount of the discount. And then we have to subtract that amount back out from the original price. And that's why we write the formula this way. And press enter. Let's do this again. Now we can't autofill this because we haven't set our cell references up. We're referencing a cell up here over and over. And I've not talked to you yet about absolute cell references. And I will in the next lesson. But not just yet. So we're going to finish our formula here by typing it in. And since we're multiplying, we actually can do the discount price times the original price within parentheses. We can, that's that commutative property of multiplication and addition. You can do it in any order there. So if you did discount times original price, that works as well. But the one thing we can't switch is subtraction, and you can never switch division, just addition and multiplication. And let's do equal sign B9 minus our 50% discount. Nope, I forgot the parentheses. There we go. Put the parentheses in. Original price times, notice the times symbol, I'm using the asterisk, and multiply times the discount, close parentheses. So at a 50% discount, which is half off, right? Half of $50 is $25. So that's how you figure a discount. I'm sorry, a price after a discount. If we only wanted to figure the discount, we can do that too. Many times when I'm in the store, I figure the amount of the discount and then subtract it from the original price. So many times that's what I do first, which is what's happening in the formula, because our order of operations, if I double click, our order of operations will do this first because it's in parentheses, and it will find the discount and then subtract it back from the original price. And when I do this in my head in the store, lots of times that's the way I do it. I first think $50 times 25%. Well, what is that? And then I subtract it back from 50. So, to quickly find that, do equals 50 B9 times A12 and press enter. So $12.50 was our discount. So equals price times the percent of discount, and that is how we find the discount. Equal sign. Okay, so to figure how much of a discount we got, we multiply the price times the percent of discount. Alright, now let's figure a price after markup. This one's a little different. We are adding to. A discount is a markdown, and we are subtracting away. A price after markup is when we own our business and we are going to mark up a product from what we paid for it. Say we pay $100 for a product and we need to sell it at a particular markup. To figure our markup price that we need in order to meet our profit goals, then this is the formula we use. The percent of markup formula. Remember, all formulas begin with an equal sign. And we take our original cost plus the amount of markup. Now the amount of markup is just like the amount of the markdown. We take the original price times markup. So the amount of the original cost times the markup gives us the amount of markup. And we add that back into the original price in B18 to give us the price after we've applied a markup of 10%. And that will be $110. Let's enter that formula again. Equals B18 plus the amount of markup, which is the original cost times the markup percent. Close parentheses, press enter. Let's practice this formula again. Equals the original cost plus the amount of markup, which is the original price times the percent. I didn't hit something right, did I? The original price. Thought I clicked it, but I didn't, so I just fixed that there. Times the original. And press enter. Now you can also enter formulas by typing in the cell references, and it doesn't matter if you type it in lowercase or uppercase. So this time I'm going to type in the cell references just to show you that it works just as well as clicking on the cells. However, I think I I'm more accurate myself if I click on the cells and get the numbers I really mean to get, because when you key in the cell references, sometimes you may look at the cell addresses a little bit wrong and get it off a little bit. So we're going to do B18 plus open parentheses B, and notice when I start typing in, it starts pulling up functions for me. Just ignore that if you're not wanting functions. B18 times A 24. Close parentheses, and we have our price after markup. In reality, if we look at this formula, I like to organize my formula this way because I know that in parentheses is my price after markup. But in parentheses, you notice that it's being multiplied there. So technically, according to the rules of the order of operations, this is going to be done first with or without those parentheses. But to help me organize it in my mind a little better, I like to put those parentheses in there. And so we've learned how to figure a percent of markup. We've learned how to figure an adjusted price and an amount of discount. And we've learned how to figure a price after a particular markup. If we want to know the dollar amount of markup, we could do just like up here to get the amount of discount. We could multiply the original cost times the percentage to get the amount of the markup, and that would give us $10 here. You could also figure the amount of the markup by subtracting your price, your original cost from your price after markup. That would work too. So more than one way to figure the markup or the amount of markup there, and more than one way also the amount of discount. We could have also done that, subtracted $37.50 from the original price to figure out how much discount we got. And that is our lesson on markup and markdown. The next lesson we're going to do is on wages, taxes, and earnings. So click on the Wages, Taxes, and Earnings tab. And we see here we have a spreadsheet. We've got employees 1, 2, 3, and 4. Normally there would be names in there, but I'm being really generic. And we have a spreadsheet set up here to figure how much we need to pay our employees. Employee 1, their hourly wage is $7.50 per hour. 2, Employee 2 is $10.25, and so on. And we've got record of how many hours they worked. And so now we have area here to calculate their wages, their withholdings, and then ultimately their net wages. And this is how much their paycheck will be here in this last column. But let's do some formatting of this first, just to review some formatting. Let's click and drag. This is all going to be money. And this area over here will be money. And so will this area, but we're not going to put dollar signs on this. So I'm going to format it differently. And so we're going to do these as accounting. Now we don't see that anything happen here, but it actually applied it there. When we start putting information in there, it will be formatted as accounting. And I've already changed that to percentages there for you. So now we need to enter formulas to figure wages. Wages are the hourly wage, how much you make per hour, times how many hours you work. It's just that simple. So when you begin to work and you want to make sure your employer is figuring your pay right, you can do this using a spreadsheet. And you also need to know how to do this without a spreadsheet. You need to know this basic math of figuring your own wages. So let's do equal sign. And we're going to take the hourly wage times, so that's click on cell B2, times the regular hours worked. So you click on cell C2 and press enter. Now overtime wages are a little more difficult. Overtime wages are 1.5 times the hourly wage times how many hours you worked. So anything worked over 40 hours per week is overtime hours. So we figure that this way, equals 1.5, so 1.5 times the hourly wage times the number of hours. And you can click this check mark if you don't want to go down to accept the change. So we made $300 in regular wages, and we made $22.50 in overtime wages. Altogether, our gross wages, we add those two together. So equals this plus this. Okay? E2 plus F2. Now, we are using relative cell references, which means if we copy these cell references down, they will change. And we can do that now. Let's press enter there. Now let's select these and copy down using the fill handle. Copy that formula or fill that formula down. And you see here that we have our values adjusted for us. Now to see what happened, we're going to show formulas. So go to the Formulas tab and click Show Formulas. And so when we want to look at our formulas that we have on the worksheet, we can show them. To turn them back off, click the Show Formulas button. That's a toggle button. It turns the formulas, switches back and forth between showing or not showing formulas. Okay, so look at these. We copied these down and look how they automatically adjusted for us. B2 times C2, B3 times C3. Okay, and all of these have relative cell references that changed as we went down. Now, we're going to do something a little different with our taxes withheld. Click the Show Formulas button again to turn the formulas off and show our values. And we are going to put a formula in for taxes withheld. Now we've got our tax rate down here. And we've only put it in one time. And we've also got our Social Security or our FICA rate down here. And we are going to enter a formula, equal sign. And this time, this formula will contain relative cell references, and we're also going to include absolute cell references. An absolute cell reference will reference this cell no matter if we do copy it down. And I'm fixing to show you how to do it. It's an absolute cell reference so that it will reference this cell even though we copy it down. So we're going to do equal sign. We're going to do the gross wages and times our tax rate. And this shows how much we're going to withhold, how much taxes we're going to withhold from this employee's paycheck. Now currently, let's just do this. Let's enter and copy this down. And notice, once we've copied this down twice, it starts showing 0 taxes withheld. Well, 20% of 298 is not 0. It's going to be close to $60. Okay? So we know we've got a problem with our formula here. Let's show formulas. Go to the Formulas tab, click Show Formulas, and let's see what happened. This one's good. It's multiplying gross wages times the tax rate. This one's multiplying gross wages times the FICA rate. This one is multiplying gross wages times an empty cell, and the same here, because this formula adjusted, or I'm sorry, this cell reference adjusted as we copied down. We needed to say B8 all the way down, no matter how many times we copy it. So let's go back to Show Formulas to show our values, and let's delete these out because this formula is not correct. So we're going to double click to edit this formula. To hold a cell constant and make it an absolute cell reference, we have to put dollar signs in front of both the column heading, letter, and the row number. So this is the way we write the formula. G2 is a relative cell reference. We want it to change as we go down. But B8, we do not want it to change as we copy down. So we have put the dollar signs in there to hold it constant. Now press enter, click back up here, and let's drag the autofill handle down. Now these numbers or these values make more sense. 20% of about $200 is about $40. Okay, so always look at your numbers and think, do they make sense? And as I said before, 20% of 298 is going to be close to $60. So that's close to $60. Our numbers are making sense. Let's look at what happened to our formulas. Go to the Formulas tab and click Show Formulas. Notice our relative cell reference changed as we copied down, but our absolute cell reference stayed the same. Go back to Show Formulas. We're going to do the same process with figuring the FICA. Click Equals. We're going to take the gross wages and multiply it times the FICA rate. And we're going to put dollar signs in front of both the column letter and the row number. Now the shortcut to do this is to be anywhere in that cell reference and press F4, the function 4 key above the numbers. On my computer there's something set up a little strange, and my personal laptop won't do that because that shortcut's not set up on my computer. But on most computers you can press F4 as a shortcut, and it will cycle through relative, absolute, and mixed cell references. And we've not talked about mixed cell references yet. That will be in another lesson. Let's autofill this formula down, and we see our numbers. And this is about 10% of $200. That is about $20. So that makes sense. That's a number that makes sense. Let's go to Show Formulas and see again our relative cell reference changed as we copied down, but our absolute cell reference did not. And that's what we needed to happen. If you click through it, you notice each time this cell is referenced. It references column G and the different rows as we go down, but it always references this same cell in column B. All right, so we have figured our regular wages, our overtime wages, our gross wages, our taxes that we're going to withhold, the FICA, which is kind of like your Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, all that goes towards that. And then now we're ready to figure our net wages. Already in there are our insurance premiums that we hold out for our employees for their medical insurance. So we're going to do this. We're going to figure their net wages, which is the amount of their paycheck. It's the gross wages minus all withholdings. So to do that, we do equal sign, gross wages. And there are a couple ways you could do this formula. The one that I use seems to be easier is just to subtract each of the withholdings and press enter. Notice as you enter a formula, and I hadn't pointed this out before, it's kind of nice. Excel puts a colored box around all the cells in your formula. And the last one that you have in your formula that you've clicked on will have the dotted line around it until you enter the next command, the next operation or cell reference. So press enter, and then we can copy this formula down. Let's show formulas, and I have to scroll over here to see mine, and you can see that each formula adjusts by the rows 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and let's go ahead at this point and save our worksheet and then turn off showing formulas. That's how you figure your wages. The next lesson we're going to learn is how to use the payment function. The payment function helps you to figure out how much of a payment you will have to make on an item that you purchase on a loan or anything you take out a loan for. And to do this, you need 3 main pieces of information, and then you need to know how to use the payment function. Our 3 main pieces of information that we need is a price, an interest rate on the loan. Anytime you take out a loan, you have to pay interest on it, which is the cost that you pay the bank for them loaning you money. And then you need to know how many years you're going to make payments and how many total payments you're going to make. So if I buy a house, typical house loan is 30 years. So 30 times 12 is 360 payments if you make monthly payments. So that's why I put 360 in here. So let's figure the payment that we would expect to make on a house that is $135,000. All formulas and functions begin with the equal sign. Then PMT or PM, and we see it pop up here. We can double click on it. And the first name, when we use these functions, these more specialized functions, well, all functions give you kind of a template and tell you what you need to put in the information. The information in brackets like FV here and type, that stands for future value, and type would be if you're going to make the payments at the beginning of the period or the end of the period. These are optional. You don't have to type in those things in the brackets. You need 3 main pieces of information, and then if you have the other information, you can put that in. So let's choose first. It says we need the rate, and it's the interest rate. And we're going to pay that rate over 12 months. So we have to divide that rate by 12. So we have to type in divided by 12. Then we need to do the next thing. So notice the template shows that after we type in a rate, each thing is separated by a comma. So we need to type in a comma, and then next is the number of periods. So we're going to make 360 payments. So we're going to pick up that cell, and then we type in a comma, and then it's the present value. The present value is the amount of the loan. Click on that, and we're not going to mess with future value and type right now. And press enter. Now, notice when we do this formula, it gives us a negative number. So what we need to do is we need to edit this formula. We need to double click, put a negative sign before the function name, and press enter, and then notice that changes it back to a positive value. Okay, next. Same thing, we're going to figure a payment on a car that we finance for 3 years or 36 months. Okay, we've found a nice nifty little used car. We're going to pay an 8% interest rate, and we're going to pay for it for 3 years. So again, equal sign in this cell down here, negative, the minus symbol, payment PM. Double click on that. Again, it shows us we need the rate. Remember, we have to divide that by 12 months because it's going to be spread out each payment we make per year. Comma, the number of periods, comma, the present value, and enter. So, on a $3,500 car at 8% for 36 months, it's going to cost us about $109 per month. Look what happens if we forget to divide the rate by 12. Notice our rate is our estimated payment is way higher. So don't forget. And we can edit that up here in the formula bar, or we can edit it here in the cell. We need to divide by 12. Divide the rate by 12. Okay, and that is the payment function. Now, one thing we can do, and what this is really good to use, is let's copy all this over. And let's change some things. We can do a what we call a what-if analysis. What if we have this $135,000 home, but we find out that one bank is willing to give us a 5.0575, I got too many points in there, rate, 0.0575 rate, 5 3/4 interest versus 6.25. How much will that change our payments? Our just a little bit of a difference, half of a percentage point, changes our payment quite a bit. Okay, let's see if we can get the house. If we can get it for $125,000, what will our payment be? Even less. And let's try $125,000. And if we can get it at that same 5 3/4%, and press enter. and we've got a what if analysis. To run our numbers. Well, this is what we're looking at. We're looking at anywhere from an $830 house payment to a $730 house payment, depending on what numbers we can negotiate with the seller of the house and our bank. So this is really good for when you are looking at buying a new home. You can do what if analysis on it. You can do the same thing for a new car. Say you've got different banks and you look at changing the interest rates. Okay, at different interest rates, what will my payment be? Let's look at buying a house. And I'm going to insert some rows here. So click here on row 8 and drag down a few rows. We're just going to insert some rows. So right click and choose insert. Insert some rows. And we're going to call this total cost. Now, to figure out what you really pay for a $135,000 home at 6.25% interest, this is what you do. Type in equals the monthly payment times the number of months you're going to make that payment. And I did something there. Let me. B7 times B6. You're going to pay about almost $300,000 for that home. So the interest on that home costs you more than 100% over the life of the loan. You're going to pay for that house twice. Okay, let's look at it at a lower percentage rate and see what the difference is. Look, equal $787 per month times 360 payments. This is what we pay out. So we can figure the difference between these two. We can do equals this minus this. So over the life of the loan, you can see that just a half of a percentage point can save you almost $16,000 over the life of that loan. Let's look at payments. I know my husband and I, we refinanced our home, so instead of 30 years, we'll have it paid off in 19 years. And so we can do a formula there. 19 equals 19 times 12 payments. And the same thing here, equals 19 times 12, or we could have copied that over or just typed in 228. So, over the life of the loan, instead of $299,000, we're going to pay in $230,000 at that interest rate. At a 5.25% interest rate, we'll pay in $222,000. Let's just look at this. Let me change these numbers back. Let me change this one to 360 and this into 0.0625, and this will give you a better idea of what I'm talking about. We got the house price the same, the interest rate the same. The only thing that changes is the number of payments. Yes, our payments are a little higher, but over the life of the loan, we're going to save $68,000 by paying that loan off about 10 years earlier. So, when you're doing your financial planning and things, you really need to consider those things. And this payment function is great for helping you budget and look at the way decisions that you make about your money is going to affect um, your life now and in the future. So, this is our lesson on using the payment function. Let's save this document and you can close.